Hello. 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 Rob here. How's everyone doing? Okay, so as promised, I'm going to go over this course and record it for you so you can view it later on in the future. So we'll begin, say, with this guy here. And I'm going to break down the shapes that are used for this character here. Well, you sort of see me do it anyway, so I'm not going to get too much into it. This is more sort of just to jog your memory on how I did do it. So the key thing here is to, well, oh, I might have to read. Oh, there we go. When drawing these characters, let's begin with the heads. Okay, so we got the heads. Head one. Where are you, little fella? No, nothing's drawing there. Why aren't you drawing? Oh, because I'm on the wrong layer. That's fine. Head and head. So I'll make it even just sort of lower the opacity a bit. Bring this guy up. All right. So these are the shapes that you want to start off with first before you go into any detail whatsoever. And remember, I started off with the head, then I went to the torso, then I went to the torso, and then we went into the arms and legs last but not least. And we also spoke about having flat arms and three-dimensional arms. So if I turn this into maybe I get rid of all these red dots. Oh, where are you going? Let's create a new layer. Right, so the the arms can be 2D or 3D. If you want to do more three-dimensional shapes, you've got to visualize it as a tube. So this is how I sort of see it. Now, obviously, his arms getting a bit squashed against his chest there, so you can do something like this, where rub that sucker out like that. Hi. And you do small here, big here, and then you make it like a squashed tube, so it gets fatter down here. So now drawing in 3D will help you to rotate your character around, but in saying that, 2D is just as good. Okay, so we're gonna just make this a 2D shape for now. Okay, so try both techniques. Do the same with the leg. Three-dimensional shape, there's a tube, or a flat shape. So obviously that's sort of sitting underneath the character, so you'd probably do little sort of lines like that. Okie dokie. So there you go, and we've got the boy there. So as I said before, we start off with the head. Then we add the chest. Then the pelvic area. It's quite a tricky one, this, because he's sitting behind someone's head and arms and legs are missing. You can't see everything. So I like to draw the arms and legs as wireframes. So if we go back to the original drawing, bye-bye you. Where are you? Okay, so that's what you got to sort of really look after. Obviously, there's a head there that we've got to add as well. Center lines are always good. Tells us where the character is looking or facing. So good to have those in there. So you'll see the stuff on the forum, so give it a good shot and hopefully send through a few of the examples. Okie dokie, moving on to the next part. Oh yes, very good. Hello, how are you today? So I went over the shapes of these characters and what I want you to do when you give it your best attempt. And this little module here, or this little project, I want you to stretch these shapes to make a 10-year-old boy short and squat, average looking, or quite lanky. Okay, so identify the shapes that are used, i.e. the head, torso, then arms and legs last as wireframes. Get to that stage. Even the hat's a simple shape. Get to that stage and send it through to me if you can. Okay, so another example is this one here. Boom. This is a bit more sort of a little bit more extra that I don't have the wireframe sitting on there. So if we add another layer there, I don't have that line there. It all depends on what level you're up to with drawing. Ideally, I want to see the wireframe first before we go into drawing the actual shirt sleeve itself. Okay, so the experiment with that, but the main thing here is to identify the shapes that are used to draw these characters with. Okay, moving on. Hello, Mr. Face. I can't remember if I actually covered this. Anyway, I want you to have a go at drawing this boy's face using the these shapes here. Okay, so if we just lower the opacity a bit and I'll show, go away, what are you doing there? Don't want you there, but too confusing. So break the shape down. Oh, I've actually missed it out there, haven't I? I've done one shape, but it's two. Okay. Break down this character's head. Identify the shapes that are used. Okay, so we've got those shapes there. You've got also that shape there. So if I just hide that, quite rough, but you can see where I'm going. Boom, boom, boom. You start doing that. Excuse me. All right, so yeah, face deconstruction. Also, look at, I've made a few notes here. Scruffy hair, plenty of freckles, wide-eyed, roundish face. So that's a typical 10-year-old boy. I'm stereotyping a bit, but you know, cartoons are all about stereotyping and caricaturizing other people. So there we go. Moving on, and that's right, here we go. So I spoke to you about the face model sheet and how you're going to do it. The best way to sort of approach a model sheet or face model sheet is to draw a whole bunch of the shapes that are used to construct the head with. Boom, like that. Easy. And then once you've got, understood the size and shape and they're all the same, you've got to figure it out which way they're going to be looking. And that's purely just the construction line there. And then once you've sort of done all those shapes, you'll go and add the face expression itself. Now, I've shared a folder with you. If you haven't got it, just let me know, of ideas for facial expressions. Now, all you got to do is plonk the old face on top of these shapes that you've just drawn. Okay, so keep it simple. Keep the method simple. Shapes. Identify the shapes used and add your eyes, your nose, and your expression. Simple. Righty then. So we definitely need to see a whole bunch of expressions. Moving on. Bye-bye. To clothing. Okay, so in the tutorial or the workshop we just ran before, I talked about simplifying your character's clothes. You could draw like this. Oops. Oh, where'd you go? You could draw like that. That's fine. It all depends on the style that you want. This would be the process of how I would do something like this. If I was going to draw clothing on a character and I needed some reference, but I wanted to sort of get it quite realistic, but not too realistic, I'd go and find an actual drawing with some clothes on it, and I would break it down. I'd actually copy it exactly how I saw it. So I would do a study of the picture itself, okay, or of the clothing. I would try and make it identical to how I see it. So that's Not quite. I was rushing there, but you can go even more further with detail there. Then once I've sort of understood how creases and folds work with each other, I would then break it down into a simple version of what I had been drawing. And this version here is basically a style. So you get the style in more cartoon animation than comics itself. So depending on which way you want to go with your characters or your style will determine how you finish off your drawing. Okay, so detailed, simplify. So it's all about repetitiveness. So go and find, I'm saying so a lot, so. Go and find about 5 to 10 pieces of clothing, draw them completely as you see it, study the clothing, and then break it down into a simpler version. All right, and that's what I want you to do for this project. Okay, then that is Certificate in Character Design course module 2. See you next week, and have a great day. Bye bye now.